get started. First of all, thank you again, everyone, for joining us this evening. And this is our first in-person seminar since actually COVID lockdown. So last year we didn't manage to do anything. So this is our first seminar in 2021. Yeah. So thank you everyone for making the time to join us. Jason and Nicole. So Jason is a sales director from Azura, which is a development company based in Gold Coast. They have done significant development in the Gold Coast and transforming Gold Coast into a very exciting township. And then Nicole is from Homestate Homestate, that is the company. And she not just investment sort of company, she also helped clients to build portfolio, migration and education as well. So she looked after a lot of her overseas investor coming to Australia. And she herself has 15 years of experience in property investment. So her experience and her knowledge is exciting. And Jason has been in the industry for the last 30 years, so she's full of
I started when I was 5, just so that we're clear.
Yeah, she's just turned 35. Yeah. So let me pass the time to Nicole and Jason. Jason.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I think thank you for having us today, and it was really great opportunity for us to be able to spend some time here with you today, especially on Friday night. I can see some friendly faces, and so please enjoy the time with us. What Jason and I are going to go through is a little bit about the Gold Coast market, mainly about the Queensland and how the market has been performing, and we are also going through a development called Imperial Square today. And then I think we're going to do Q&A at the very end. But what we're going to try, this is what I always say, we'll do Q&A at the very end, but then we will see how it goes. And tonight, Jason and I decided we were going to do separate parts of the presentation. I was going to go first. But then we decided, given it's a Friday afternoon, Friday night, we're going to do more spontaneous together. We're going to present together. So obviously, it'll be great fun. So hopefully that we can give you some information to take home and lots of energy as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that all right with everybody? That all makes sense? Because we could have gone on forever, and between Nick and I, we can all speak long time. And we don't want to bore you all to death. It's Friday night. So again, from my end, thank you very much for coming. As Nicole said, I'm sales director for the Azura Group. It's a public-private company, and we are really excited because we're building the tallest tower in Australasia. But before we get to that, we're also, and it comes in 3 stages. So look, what I thought I'd do, we had we're constantly getting a lot of press on our site. So I thought what I might do is play one of the news articles that appeared in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. I'm not even sure if it got to Perth. So let me play this if you haven't seen it, and then I'll run through a bit more of the presentation. So.
Developers are forging ahead with plans to build Australia's tallest building at Southport, fast-tracking the $2.3 billion master plan for Imperial Square, thanks to a spike in sales.
The Imperial, 108 levels, Southport's Tower of Power, and the tallest building in Australia. It could be coming sooner than expected.
In this moment, on the Gold Coast, we've got really magic happening.
The property market is booming. A surge in sales for Stage 1, the 18-storey Regal residences, means construction will start next month.
We've got a lot of people that have come up here, particularly over the last couple of months out of Sydney and Melbourne, and they just can't believe the value.
Then it's hoped at the end of this year they'll start selling the record-breaking second tower. Underneath, 1,800 car parks. Then, above ground, a shopping centre, 14 levels of medical suites, 1,000 residential apartments, a 260-room, 6-star hotel, and at the very top, 3 floors of restaurants and bars towering over Q1.
I think that it's going to be a winner.
A game-changing development cementing Southport as our city's CBD. The plan is to have it ready by 2026. Mackenzie Colohan, 9 Gold Coast News.
All right. Who here Gold Coast. Yay! That's great, and there's also plenty of people that haven't probably been. It's a great
Pest
area
control
to
experts
visit.
say they've never seen anything like it. The
Me either.
horrendous result of a termite invasion left
I'll get rid of him.
While Jason's bringing up his slides, I was talking to a friend, just a new friend we just met today, he was asking me about the market here on the Gold Coast, so in Queensland as compared to Perth. Is it still going or what's the goal? I think what COVID has done for us in Australia as a whole, when Leah was introducing myself, saying that I have more overseas clients. Yeah, I do. I used to travel a lot, and for obvious reason of COVID, I stay here now. But then to say that sometimes when I was doing presentation in China or Hong Kong, people ask the questions and say, not just comparing why this project over the other one, why Sydney or Melbourne or Perth. People were asking, is that better to invest in Cambodia or Thailand or Malaysia? So, you really have to look at all the international, how investors are looking at investments. And the point I'm trying to get to is Australia has been put on the international map now because of how we've controlled COVID. And in saying that, one of the scientists did mention that if this, well, obviously we're still trying to get out of the pandemic, but if this was to ever happen again, of an unknown something, where on the world people would like to be? And I think, obviously it was a long list without the map, but then so Australia now is rated #1. So I guess, a lot of time, and this is now making Australia into the international map. So what we're going to do is we're going to start sharing this, and then in between the presentation, I will cut in and talk a little bit about the market as well, about interstate migration numbers and what are the drivers for Queensland, so that you have information to take away.
Cool. So let's start then with the actual precinct that we're building. It's a 3-tower precinct, starting here with stage 1, which is Regal Residence, and that's what we're going to be showing you guys and giving you guys the opportunity tonight. Stage 2, of course, is Australasia's tallest tower. It's 108 stories. And stage 3 is called the Monarch, and it's a very unusual building, also in the precinct. It's called a twister. And there are 2 of those in the world, one of those in Dubai and the other in Vancouver. And this will be the 3rd one. And it's a really unique building. Each of the balconies are offset by 3 degrees. And when you see the back of the building, it actually looks like a drill drilling into the ground. It's pretty cool. Once completed, this is kind of the project here. And you'll see by this next render that I'm going to bring up, it'll become quite a famous landmark for us on the Gold Coast. And I refer to that simply for the fact when you see this render here, in terms of how it sits and where it sits in the topography. It sits on the boundary line of Southport, which on the Gold Coast is our CBD. I was looking down there, but out of the question that Nicole answered, just quick show of hands, how many people have actually been to the Gold Coast? Could I see? So about...
there's more now.
Yes.
Let's try to ask in 5 minutes' time.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I'm sure by the end of the night, everyone has been to Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you will have been if you stay with me, all right? I'll take you on a journey because I am an absolute Queensland patriot. So I'll run you through that. But a bit of a geography lesson in terms of what's happening in here. Our CBD on the Gold Coast stalled for a little while, and what tended to happen, we had a situation arise. We had quite a lot of people that were speculating, and they jumped in and bought a whole lot of blocks of land within our CBD, and they kind of sat for a little while, and they wasn't getting any development, and the CBD that the council in the area were trying to promote, it had kind of stalled. So a few years back, the local government introduced a bit of local legislation called the PDA, which stands for the Priority Development Area on the Gold Coast. And what it meant was, it said that it wanted to sort of give the area a bit of an injection and get sort of things moving, so that they made some quite good incentives for people that were holding positions in terms of property positions, and gave them an incentive to get going. One of the main concessions is that they could actually do developments and they could almost bypass the need to have everything ratified by council. So the PDA set out a very broad set of terms of what you could build in an area, and then provided what it is that you were doing fit within the mandate of what was issued, then the benefit was they could be privately certified. And it cuts a lot of the red tape out, and it made things very attractive. And the owner, well, the chairman, if you like, of Azura Group, Robert Battleotti, you saw him on that video there. He's been building on the coast for a very long time, 34 years. He came out from Italy and just fell in love with the Gold Coast. And he tells the story when the PDA was quite new of just how relaxed it was from a development point of view, and how much incentive there was from that side of the council to get building going. And he turns up at this meeting here with a lot of the construction and the buildings people, the planners with inside the council, because he wanted a second opinion. And he said, well, I've owned this site here, which is 16,000 square metres, and I've owned it for, at that time there, he'd owned it for about 15 or 16 years. And he said, so you're telling me under this new PDA, I could build whatever I want? And they went, yes, Mr. Battleotti, you can. He said, well, what if I wanted to build a 60-storey building there? They went, yes, you can. Well, what if I wanted to make it 80? Yes, you can. And he's never had this happen with any of the building or planners of council. And he's looking around for the camera going, wait a minute, is someone going to burst out here? And it went on, and he said, okay, I'll build the tallest building in Australasia. No problem. He went, come on now. So normally, because the councils are very stiff and they don't actually promote, they actually said yes. So he went about and said, if you guys will back me, I'll back the area. And this is what came out as a result of it there. So let's talk about Regal. This is a very significant and very unusual offering. It's unusual and significant because I can't name anywhere else in here that's doing something similar. It's 143 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments with 2 penthouses. And the blue area here is all the permanent residential. The gold area is a 4.5, 5-star business hotel, right? Which is pretty cool. Including in here for our owners or investors, we have things like valet parking, we have concierge, we have a wholesale cheaper price in-room dining that's different pricing to the hotel guests. We also have the opportunity here where you can have your property cleaned and serviced like a hotel by the hotel staff, which is really cool. On top of that, we've got an infinity pool, and I'll show you some renders on that. It also has a gym, a sauna, a steam room. It's got a residence lounge and a Zen garden on the roof. And all that is tied together with our complimentary Imperial Club membership, which that's what makes things a bit different. Here's a look at the renders, and look at this amazing. Anyone here been to the Sands?
Singapore?
Singapore Sands? Yeah? Ah, they've got a few more hands. More people have been to bloody Singapore than the Gold Coast. I can't believe it.
No,
all
no,
right.
you were asking me in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know, a few more. Well, this isn't the Sands, I know that much, because it's very, very big. But Robert was actually in the pool of the Sands when he was planning and coming up with what he wanted to do here at the site where Imperial is, and decided that he would put the rooftop pool in because he wanted to take advantage of this beautiful view that we have. I have to tell you, I haven't been back to Perth for 15 years. It's the first time I've been back in a long time. I have to say how much I'm loving it. And I cannot begin to tell you, whilst it's not the same, we're more of a beach culture and all that sort of, but just the feeling of the cities and stuff are very similar. There feels a nice level of optimism, and people seem nice. For me anyway, I found everybody to be very nice, and that's what we're like on the Gold Coast. I've been in Sydney and Melbourne, they're as rude as buggery. I can't begin to tell you. But anyway, that's just the way it is. So the rooftop pool, we have the valet parking here, the internal render here, so we've got the bar and we've got the check-in for the hotel, and we have this beautiful Zen garden that's outside of the residence lounge, which again, those two areas are on the 18th floor. All of this is linked together via our Imperial Club card, and why this is important and why this works so well is because I'm assuming most of you here, if you were to buy one of these units, would be investors. And the benefit for you is that you're able to transfer your entitlements of your unit and let your tenants utilise all those facilities through your Imperial Club card. And we've thrown some wonderful things in there. We've got theme park discounts, you've got membership into the Surf Club, membership into the Yacht Club, you've got access to the charging ports if you've got a Tesla or one of the electric cars, concierge, valet parking, and we'll talk about WOMO because all of our properties are wired, smart wiring.
Before these, sorry, can we go back a little bit?
We can. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I just really, and then another one. this one here.
Okay. You don't want to argue with Nicole.
I'm so sorry.
Can I sit a seat with you?
No, please don't do that. So I guess when we were trying to talk about property, who has heard about people saying location, location, location? And how can we define location, location, location? So I think, yeah, so you've got like very similar rules, and doesn't matter where you are, and doesn't matter what country you're looking at, whatever project you are looking at, or we all come from, it's a migrant country. I'm looking at everyone here. So have a think about this. What's location, location? I think the basic 101 is close to transport, public transport, amenities, education. These are all the things that it doesn't matter where you buy. Even you buy a corner block somewhere in any suburban area in Australia, as long as you tick all these boxes, usually the prices will grow. Usually will grow. Just give it the time. Now, but then what is it that? But with those points, right? What I really want to say here is that probably not the best map to demonstrate our location here. And Jason has mentioned a lot about the Southport as a PDA. Well, what that whole means is that this area is actually a CBD. For people that has been to Gold Coast, right? Most of the time, all of us will go to Surfers Paradise. It's a landmark that we all have to go to the beach, we take a selfie, that's what we do. But honestly, Gold Coast as a city, CBD is here. So one of the things that I actually mentioned, few things. So you are actually in driving distance, less than 1.5 kilometers. You turn left on the side, you get to the best, the Southport school, it's called TSS. It's one of probably the best boys' school, private. And then you're also surrounded by, this is the primary school. And then on the other side of this road, another distance to the right, probably also about 5-minute drive, you go to St. Hilda's. I used to, my mom, as a migrant, she enrolled me in that school. I didn't go, purely for a very silly reason, because it's not co-ed. But anyway, I used to enroll my daughter to St. Hilda's. So also, it's not the best map, but I also need to let you know, you are in walking distance to train line. So you can walk 250 meters to the train line. And then once you come to train line, in 2 stations, you get to the largest university on the Gold Coast and still expanding. And that is Griffith University. So, and then for people that raise their hand, they may have already stayed and definitely walk on the sand, all these beautiful sands on Surfers Paradise. Where we are at the moment, on the same train line, but opposite of direction, 5 stations, you get to Surfers Paradise. So if I could just mention, and then obviously when we finish our talking here, everyone can get up and wiggle a bit and we can go over there. We can use the map much better to talk about all the special things about the location. But really wrap up in this area here, when Jason was talking about the PDA, not only is talking about the developer's vision to build something like a landmark, it's also to underpin that they will be on this because of the PDA. So the area is going to go exponential, and they have the potential to do so. The government is not going to come back or, okay, if you want a development site here, you want to apply for a DA, and then somebody's going to object to it. So what we're all really talking about here is the concept that we are looking at when we are investing. So the location, irreplaceable, and infrastructure. All these are the things. Now the reason why I use this also is just because we all saw the video, and the video goes really fast. And then we all want to know more about what is all these thousands of car park, and what about the shopping center, what's going on? And then, so this is the whole site, essentially, not this building, not these two. So this is the whole site. The site itself is called Imperial Square. We are creating a landmark that one day, when you hop onto the airplane, you land it onto Gold Coast, goes onto the taxi, and then take me to Imperial Square. You don't have to ask address, please. And why is that? Is because, of course, Jason has talked about the first building, the second building is here. So just to give you an idea, the shopping center is here. And that's a 40,000 square meter shopping center. If you know the commercial space, 40,000 square meter of commercial space is not a small shopping center. not a small corner store. So it's actually a shopping center. And then the 14 levels of the medical, specialty medical is here. And then you've got the apartments here. And then one thing we did not actually really mention is on stage 1, which is Regal Residence that we're talking about today, that all these gold rooms are going to be managed by Radisson. I'm not sure if we mentioned that. All the agreements being signed, but we are actually reserving this right to obviously have another press release so that Jason could be on the news again. Yes, so that would be Radisson. Radisson, I think, is about 4 and maybe 4.5 star. And this top bit that I'm coming back here is that obviously you've got apartments here, sub-penthouses and penthouse. This will attract a lot of international people as a collection to their portfolio. This does happen a lot. And then you've got the gold hotel rooms on the top, and these are maybe the 6 star that we're looking for. And obviously that we mentioned, and in the video you see the 3 levels. So what I'm really trying to drill into is really the location itself has already got everything on the location list. And then the project itself, it's got that landmark to it. And then on top of it, that this is, at the moment, obviously the tallest building in terms of DA-wise in Gold Coast.
Australasia.
I was going to...
Sorry.
That's all right. And then move on, yeah. So basically the tallest Australasia. So these are the things that I think this image will give you that idea of how this all works. And then now we can, I feel now we can, and I can justify that to move into the pricing. Shall we?
Anything else you want to add on here, Nick?
No, not at the moment, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. She's really good, huh? She's such a personal presenter. I love doing this with you.
I'll come to it. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Yeah. Renders. This is my next favourite slide here. So this is our entry point. So it's really an exciting thing to be able to actually present to. The family has owned this site now coming up to 18, nearly 19 years, which is why we're able to offer some of the pricing entry points we've got here. Our 1 bedrooms that we have now left are starting at $379,000. Our 2 bedrooms are at $560. Our 3 bedrooms are $745, and they're generating a yield of 5%, of which we will guarantee. You'll need a 10% deposit, and the completion to that particular tower there will be June 22. I want to just talk about and just on the back of what Nicole started to speak about there. This is a really good story. It's going to be a landmark precinct, but at the end of the day, all good stories need to be supported with some good foundation. And the foundation in this case here is what's going on in the investment and the infrastructure space. Whenever I'm talking about investment in property for you guys, one of the things you should always be looking for when you're looking to invest is understanding what investment of infrastructure is going into the area. The reason for that is that you'll generally find that vast amounts of money have been spent, very clever people have been involved, and they will start to map out, once you start to chase infrastructure, you kind of see where the unfolding opportunities are happening in with your asset class. Yeah. The 3 areas that I like to point out that are significant for us on the Gold Coast. First of all, we're just undergoing a $370 million upgrade of the airport. And some of you, if you've arrived on the Gold Coast, we still had an area there at an airport. When you land, they bring out the stairs and the doors open and you get that nice whiff and the smell there, and you kind of feel, for me, it feels like home. It's kind of subtropics. And you get down, you walk across the tarmac, and then you walk into the terminal. Unfortunately, that quaint, beautiful time of travel is about to end, and we're now going to have the air bridges like everybody else, and they're upgrading them. But it's a pretty big thing for us because it means bigger planes will be turning up, and it's another sign of the GC growing up. The other thing that I made the point of here, which has been significant for us, and it's one of the ways that you want to, I guess, judge the livability of a city, is its public transport. And you start at that lower end. For us now, we've got a light rail system that can currently connect you. You can go down from Brisbane, you can take the heavy rail down, you can change and then get onto the light rail, and that will run you all the way down to Broadbeach or right through Surface. They've now started from Broadbeach down to Burleigh Heads. You might have heard that suburb, it's quite a famous suburb, Burleigh Heads, on there, and that connection is now underway. And the government, on our local government and federal government, has now agreed to fast track from the airport at Coolangatta to meet the other areas, so that they're now building towards one another. Pardon me. The benefit for that is that you'll now be able to arrive on the coast, get onto a light rail, and take you all the way into Surfers Paradise, into Southport. You could stay on, go up, meet the heavy rail, and catch a train then all the way to Brisbane. For us, that's a real sign that we've grown up as a city. The other thing that Nicole started to touch on as well, which is we're very lucky, and there's a new emerging class of tourism that's starting to unfold in Australia, and this is the best bit that you guys will get and be able to capture. We have the Gold Coast University Hospital, and it's now inexplicably linked to Griffith University. How many people here have heard of the famous hospital in Los Angeles called Cedars-Sinai? Anyone? It is also a research hospital, and it's anchored, and its tenancy and its research division is linked to UCLA, the University of Southern California. It's often on the news, you hear the stars and that's why they all end up in Cedars-Sinai. It's a research hospital. No one wants to get sick, but if you're going to get sick or anything does happen to you, that's one of the hospitals you want to be at, because you're going to be overstudied. There's a whole lot of continual smart students that are questioning and looking at everything. It's a really, really good hospital to have. More importantly, the level of investment that's going in there in the research department side of things in there, it's phenomenal. So those are the three main drivers that I generally like to point out. But Nick will have a couple of other things that she wants to point out.
I've been waiting for the cue.
Yeah. You do that and I'll cue up a video. Why don't you? That's a good idea.
I will. So this is, I think, out of the many things that COVID has done for us, one thing I think that has changed, I think we must all agree, it has changed the way we think about things. Yes? It has changed because the way we think about things may have changed. It has changed the way we act. So I think the way people are working from home, all these are different now. Now what does that really also mean is that, and this is the answer that I given to another friend just then, is the interstate migration. So a lot of people always think, and then maybe, you know, let's rewind the clock. Okay, rewind the clock for a few years. Back in probably 2013, or at that time, a lot of people would say that a lot of the property are bought from foreigners. So foreign investors, they're coming, they like the city, they just went crazy. They bought the whole stack or what have you. But I think the market that Perth is in, we're in, the whole Australia is in, to be really honest, for the past 6 months to now about 9 months, since June last year, it's all local. We all agree it's all local. So the interstate migration that we got so far, and I don't have the map here, but then I still can remember the numbers. Coincidentally, not so much for Perth, but coincidentally, Sydney and Melbourne, so New South Wales and Victoria are losing people. And that is because of, I think, somewhat to do with COVID as well, because it changed the way we do things, changed the way we work. We were now allowed to work from home. When you are allowed to work from home, please raise your hand if you are a mom. Okay. Dad? So what happened to people in the middle? I was just joking. No, I was just joking. And the other thing is, so for people that raise their hand, I'm a mom. My daughter's about to turn 16 next week. And I've always worked. And in doing what I do, it's very time consuming. And I do a lot of traveling. So for people that raise your hand, COVID, I know like study from home or the working from home is getting sometimes driving me nuts. But looking back, probably it's not a bad option. I get to spend time. And we don't have to commute and squeeze in the morning traffic. And then the crazy mom, I'm always the last one arriving at the door to pick up my daughter and say, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. None of this anymore. So when life has a choice, then people change their action. So what I'm trying to say is, Gold Coast, Jason just mentioned Burleigh. If you know this suburb, it's probably, if you search online, I'm sure you do your own research, it's one of the few that are on the top hotspot. Because people, the minute that I still remember vividly was Christmas time. Is Queensland going to open the border or not? Open the border or not? Of course, I really wanted to open. And they did. And then a flood of people driving into Gold Coast through Berlin was crazy. And then people loved the idea, they loved the environment, they liked the fact that we don't have the lockdown anymore, especially from Victoria. They started buying along the coast. And because obviously the other thing is, this building is 6,000, anywhere from 5,800 to about 6,200 per square meter. You try to buy something today, even in Brisbane CBD, even in suburban area of Brisbane, let alone to mention Sydney or Melbourne, you cannot get this price. So people went crazy. Now, let's then forward the clock a little bit. The federal budget, they did actually mention about international students maybe coming back. Yes, we needed that. The other thing is maybe the international travel is going to be next year. Let's have a think about this. What happens when international travel happens? Allowed. Do you think that there will be no people coming? Or there will be moderate amount of people coming, or everyone's all coming? I think that everyone's all coming. And when they come, there's be housing need. So with the last 3 months, only 3 months, Jason will be able to tell you the rental market in Gold Coast went crazy. 2 types. There's no new project happening, same for Brisbane. I'm sure it's similar here. So I think all the perspective was great. Now, the last point I want to leave you before the video and then the end of the presentation is, we, on the news, did you mention about Olympic City? That Brisbane may be becoming an Olympic city for 2032?
Guaranteed. You didn't know that.
Let's have a think about this. On one hand, I know we're all taxpayers. It costs a lot of our hard-earned money to host that. Yes, we know that. Number 2, it's going to be a lot of inconvenience in our life because construction is going to happen. Yes. But on the flip side, think about this, and please search it up tonight. Have a look. The economic impact for Sydney Olympic 2000 until today. You will find a lot of articles saying that all the stadium they have hosted at that time has now turned into a different purpose and still generating money. The amount of and then think about leading up to the time of that actually happens. The amount of positive news internationally to Australia and then funnel down to a city that nobody really knows, Brisbane, and then Gold Coast. How is that going to impact? Not just property, guys. Whatever you're coming from, whatever you're doing in whatever you do, it's all going to impact it. We're all going to benefit from this. So, that's my pitch.
Okay, it's good pitch. Good pitch. The point there, I think, to sort of just hone in on, I think that Nick was making on there, is that for me being what I call, let's call me an Eastern States person coming to WA, one of the things that I think the rest of the East aren't quite as aware of or should be a lot more acknowledging to, it's this state that's keeping the big island afloat. Yeah? The exports that's going on with iron ore have allowed us to sort of skate through pretty good. So, you know, sometimes the eastern side doesn't really recognise what a great job WA does as a state in Australia. The point I think as well that Nick was sort of making in there, that the 2032 Olympics, the announcement is due, I think, sort of mid to end June. Maybe it might tip into the first week of July, we'll find out. It's an absolute game changer for any city that wins the games. That period of time, if you go back, let me just give you a bit of and I won't take too long because I know you guys are keen to see the video and we want to sit down and have a talk and maybe something else to eat, drink. But if you guys could go back to 1988, what was happening on the Gold Coast at that time, mate? We were the most happening, jamming place in Australia. We had this massive influx of Japanese money that was coming in. The Japanese economy was off the hook and the Japs were out spending it everywhere. They're buying up all of Hawaii and they funneled heaps, billions of dollars into the Gold Coast and put us right on the map. For a long time, it gave a lot of the locals there the courage to go and take on and do some pretty incredible projects that probably wouldn't have happened. The Japanese economy started to falter and things started to slow down around the mid-90s, and for whatever reason, they sort of got out of there pretty quick. Some of them lost quite a considerable amount of money, I might add. And then they shot back home. What started departure Sydney, Sydney, the greatest games in the world. Remember that guy saying that? It goes on there. Well, anyway, Sydney won the Olympic Games, and from that point on through about the mid-90s, this massive amount of hype started to happen, and the Sydney house prices just took off. They were already high, pretty high to begin with, but that was the real launching pad. And it carried them and sustained them, and they had a pretty good run. Around about 2010, a new flashlight appeared on the new city, and it started to get all the kudos and all the attention, and that was Melbourne. Okay, very good. And what happened? What happened in Melbourne? We had the education boom. We had a lot of Asian influence coming just straight into Melbourne. Why? Because it started out, it already had a very big Asian population base. Anytime anyone was trying to sell anyone stuff overseas, I was doing expos overseas, and you say to people, you talk about Brisbane, oh no, Melbourne. And they get on the phone with their friends, and all their friends have got kids studying in bloody Melbourne, and people like to go where they know and where people are recommending. And so Melbourne ended up with this massive big spotlight on it. The third most livable city in the world, blah, blah, blah. I don't know the Gold Coast. Anyway, one thing leads to another, and the worst thing that could have happened to the world is we end up with a pandemic in 2020. We end up with lockdown, and the most livable city in the world ended up really having to do it pretty tough. I know that because my son was down there at the time, and Perth, or WA, like Queensland, we were probably the two most unaffected states in the country. I mean, we really won the bloody lotto in terms of when and where we lived at the time, and that's a fact. The benefit from that was, as a result of that, we were unaffected. We were certainly in Queensland. We had 2 weeks of lockdown for the entire time, worked out that nothing was happening, and we were back to the beaches, and our life was totally unaffected. Well, that didn't go unnoticed, and it was beamed and filmed around the world. Everybody's going, God, if we weren't in this goddamn pandemic, that's where I'd like to be. And so the result is the spotlight has swung firmly back onto us at Queensland now, with the Olympic Games and with the lifestyle that we've got. And by God, we're hanging on to it too. We're not going to let it off this time. So we are in for a massive boom in that area. If you want to chase that with population, exactly like what Nick was saying. Let me play a quick video from here. We're going to have something to eat. You'll see all these wonderful IQI people. Turn around. Hi IQIs. They're such a good group of people to work with. I've really, really enjoyed it. We put this whole thing together, and they're such a really good team, and they actually really care about what they do. I do a lot of work with a lot of different channels, and I'm really pleased to say that it's probably been one of the most fun channels I've worked with in a long time, led by Lily. And Derek, where are you, Derek? Yeah. So without further ado, let me run through this. I'll give you a quick run through, and then please, if you'd like any more information or you want to get down to some nitty-gritty and stuff on there, Nick and I or the IQI team are available here to give you any information that...
Liam, do you prefer to do the Q&A first and then the video, or the other way around? The video first?
I can do the video first.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I like the video first because then it'll give you more things to ask more questions about, hopefully.
A landscape abundant.
An economy rich with opportunities. A landscape abundant with nature. An incredible lifestyle like no other. Australia offers all of this and more. And the best place to experience it all is right here in Queensland. Offering livability, affordability, and future economic prospects, Queensland is a market where you can confidently invest for the future and thrive in one of Australia's fastest growing cities, Gold Coast. With significant investment and lifestyle opportunities, the Gold Coast is expected to double its population by 2036. And to drive this growth, $5 billion in public and private investment is underway or recently completed. Over $200 million is being invested into the SPIT Master Plan. The Gold Coast Airport will be expanded with a $370 million investment. Over $3 billion will be invested into the light rail extension, and $1.7 billion is being invested into the Gold Coast University Hospital. At the centre of it all, Southport is booming thanks to $5 billion investment into the Southport CBD rejuvenation. Over $900 million worth of new projects. The highest concentration of employment on the Gold Coast. $5 billion in infrastructure for the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. and over 80 million in Broadwater parkland upgrades. Live in a community amongst it all with the one and only Imperial Square, a 3-stage master plan development in the heart of Southport with vertically integrated residential, retail, commercial, health and education facilities, rising above all others with the tallest tower in Australia and the Southern Hemisphere. This world-class destination epitomises coastal living, with everything just moments away. Expand your horizons with top education centres nearby, including the Southport School, St Hilda's College, Bond University, Southern Cross University, and world-class Griffith University, located within the 200-hectare Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct, Asia Pacific's newest health and innovation hub. This unique global business location is backed by $5 billion in infrastructure and is home to the $1.76 billion Gold Coast University Hospital and the Gold Coast Private Hospital. The Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct is serviced by easy transport access, including 2 light rail stations within a 5-minute walk. And the precinct employs over 10,000 people, including 1,000 researchers, while catering to 20,000 students. It's set to grow and employ over 26,000 people, generating gross value of $2.9 billion, which will transform Australia's leading lifestyle city. Come home to an integrated lifestyle. Be on holiday every day of the year with new Stage 1 release of Regal Residences, combining luxury residential apartments with a world-renowned hotel, featuring 1, 2 and 3-bedroom apartments. This hotel is here to elevate everyday moments for our residents. With complimentary valet, concierge, foyer and bar. Gain residence accommodation to the exclusive Imperial Club, offering much envied privileges for all members. Experience smart community living with the exclusive Imperial Club Residence app, delivering a new level of security, safety, and ease. Live with effortless control and a world of services just a click away. Indulge in an enviable lifestyle, complete with premium amenities overlooking stunning views. This is Southport's most desired address and the city's newest cosmopolitan heart. Exclusively brought to you by Azura.
Very good. So, Eddie, we got any questions anyone would like to ask? I'd be happy to answer.
You become the MC.
Yeah, that's right.
I was just going to say thank you so much.
My role's reversed.
But anyway, keep on going.
Well, I know generally I do a lot of these sort of speaks and seminars, and what I generally find is that most people have their own questions and they'd rather not ask them in a group. But if there's any general questions that you'd like to ask, I'd be happy to answer them. And otherwise, if there isn't, we'll sit and we'll do a break. Hello, dearie.
Oh, well, I'm quite concerned about the strata fee.
Yes.
Such a high building.
I'm so glad you asked that. I'm really glad.
Electricity.
Yes. Everybody's worried about strata fees. Anyone that's had an investment in an apartment has the same feeling. And I ran through this with the guys before. We're very lucky with this particular project because, actually, while they're all sitting, I can walk over here. I don't need to put everybody's neck out, but if you follow me. So this section here of the model here is the hotel. The hotel is actually doing a lot of the heavy lifting in the form of costs. So right now, if you have your strata fees are generally sort of annexed to what sort of amenities the building that you're buying into is offering. And if you've got really good amenities and they have big pools or things like that, they tend to, everyone has to chip in, they need to be maintained. Big grounds need lots of rates and different things covered. So in our one here, let me give you an example. On the Gold Coast with a building with this level of amenities on a one bedroom, they start between, in this strata fees on a weekly basis, around 120 up to about 140 a week. On a two bedroom, they start from about 140 up to about 180, 190, and a three bedroom will run you around 220, 230 a week. So it's significant, right? Ours, I'm happy to report, ours are $90 a week set at the moment for a one bedder. About 96 for the two bedder and about 103 for the three bedder. The reason being is that the hotel is paying a lot of those normal costs that it would normally have to have. One of the things that I will tell you as well that we didn't get a chance, I like to get down sometimes into the numbers. A 10% deposit in this project here, if you're paying around, I think that the cut-off or the starting entry point is around $15,000 or $16,000 a year in tax. If you're paying around that or more, the one bedrooms are returning a positive return of about $118 to $125 a week. The two bedders are around $145, $150, and the three bedders, if you go up another tax level, up around the $20,000, $30,000, around the $180, $190. Cash flow positive. That means after outgoings, after the strata fees. Sorry, I had a little mental block and went on a holiday for a moment. Yeah, so including the strata fees, your rates, all the outgoings, high levels of depreciation, of course, because it's a new product and you can write all of that off as well. So that's one of the really good upsides. And I say to you that if you've got that spare and you've got that spare deposit, put it in here. The thing will run cash flow positive and pay itself off and set and forget it. There's a lot of capital gain to be had in our area. I don't like to predict numbers because I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you that the energy and the numbers that are stacking up in terms of the current net migration coming into our area are uncharted and off the hook. And if we all know how property works, what are the drivers, supply and demand? There's an over-demand and an under-supply. Now we'll catch up with that at some point, but again, we're sort of running behind because we, as Nick said, we opened up the borders and people just kept coming. So.
Doesn't matter what, every single building are separately, and then every unit have their own electricity, so it's all separated. It's not because if you've got shopping centre downstairs, so you're going to share the electricity and things like that. It's actually going to be quite easy, and this is quite experienced and been done throughout Queensland. So yeah, but then it ties with the facility and things like that. But that's pretty in Gold Coast wise, that strata fee is okay, given the amount of amenities you're going to get.
Yeah.
And if you would like to find out how the return work for you, and definitely talk to our strategists, because everyone's situation is different, because everyone's tax bracket is different. So talk to our strategists, they have all the information about the project and they can work out how the return work for you. So definitely make an appointment with that. And I'm quite conscious of time, so perhaps we can leave your question to later. We do have a little lucky draw to thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attendance this evening. It's been fine. It's been wonderful. I'm hoping that everybody sort of enjoyed what we had to say. Nicole and I are sticking around, and the IQI team here, and I'd love to answer any more detailed questions about the project and sort of run through any numbers that might help. Thank you very much.